Everybody, thank you very much for tuning in for this episode of the Outdoor Gear Review. What I have here today is a BCB product. Sometime back I took a look at the FireDragon from BCB. That's a foldable stove, a military surplus product from like the UK. This is their FireDragon mini cooker. A viewer sent this to me. My friend, thank you so very much. Now, this is not a product that you can easily find in the US, but you can have it imported. It can be rather expensive, so whether or not that's something that you want to do, that's completely up to you. But in the UK, these go for like $4. Well, $4 American, like £3 or something like that in the UK. So, as you all can see here, this is a very, very small little stove, and you can tell by the size of the box. Inside of the box, this is what you get. This is a super, super small stove here. Very unique, very simple, very lightweight. So I guess to start off here, we'll take a look at the little stove itself. This is very lightweight, like 1.5 ounces. I mean, it's super, super light. As far as the dimensions go, you're looking at 2.7 inches long, 1.5 inches wide, 1.9 inches tall. When you compare this to the original FireDragon, this is quite a bit smaller. In fact, I happen to have one right here. So you can see the differences there. So these here are two very different stoves, and I'm interested to see just how well this one performs. The original FireDragon is a well-known stove. I mean, there's a lot of militaries that use this. It's also very versatile. With the little mini cooker, I don't know if there's any militaries who have adopted this yet, but there is a potential for militaries to do so, including the United States military. I will talk more about that in just a minute though. With the little mini cooker here, you can use just about any type of fuel that you want to. You can use solid fuels, gel fuels, and even liquid fuels like alcohol and so on. What you have here basically is a container, so you can put anything that you want to inside of this. Now BCB FireDragon, they make their own fuels, and these are a sort of like gel material. The primary ingredient for these fire cubes is ethanol. What I have here is one of those fire cubes. This is a 27-gram cube, and this is rather expensive. For 6 of these, it is like $9. That is some pricey fuel. I've never actually used this stuff before, so we will see how well it works. Normally, I use either trioxane or hexamine, but both of those, from what I understand, are toxic. This here is supposed to be non-toxic. You can use this inside of a tent if you want to. You can even use this as hand sanitizer. When comparing these two fuels, the FireDragon ethanol versus the hexamine, my question here is, let's say that I heat up some water for coffee, but I don't burn the entire cube. Can I save this? Obviously not in the container, but with this being a sort of gel fuel, can I leave it inside of the stove? Is it going to come out? Is it going to leak? Is it going to melt? Is it going to make a huge mess? With hexamine, you could simply blow this out and come back to it later, and it works just fine. It doesn't make a huge mess. But what about this? So we will definitely check that aspect out in this episode. When my buddy sent me this stove, again, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. I was thinking about like what sort of kit could I build? So this is what I came up with here. So I have I think this is a USGI stainless steel cup, or GSI stainless steel cup. I'll flash that correctly on the screen there. But I figured this with a lid, a paper towel, maybe even a washcloth, the stove, a couple of cubes of fuel. Now, speaking of which, you could take these fuel cubes, the FireDragon, and it will fit 2 of these inside of the stove, just like that. So the washcloth or the paper towel on the bottom, the stove, the fuel, some matches, and the lid. I can even put some instant coffee inside of this kit. So right there's a pretty small, compact fire kit. You have a stove, you can cook with this, you can heat up water. It's excellent for a day trip, even a backpacking trip or survival. Okay, so let's take a look at this fuel, everyone. Okay, so it has a very, very strong alcohol ethanol smell to it. When it's in your hands, it begins to melt, so you can use it as hand sanitizer. Now, the company went away from saying this. In the past, they used to claim this quite a bit, but what would happen is soldiers would use this, put this on their hands, go to light their stoves, and catch their hands on fire. So the company doesn't make that claim much anymore. So let's go ahead and light this up. You might not be able to see it, but it is burning. You can actually see the material melting and bubbling. turn it here. So the back side is blocking the wind. I have the air vents over here where it's not windy. Roughly 300 milliliters of water going on. I'm sure you all are noticing the same thing that I am. The flames just shoot out of this stove. That's interesting. It makes me wonder how much heat is being wasted with the design of this stove here. I went ahead and I removed everything that was on here because the flames were just shooting out all over the place. So without a doubt, you have to be careful with this stove. The wind is blowing this way, and you can see the impacts of that, even though this side is blocked. Since this melted, it dispersed, the flames are just like all over the place. And if you were to use a solid fuel cube, you might get better heat distribution. You really have to be careful here. This fuel releases a lot of flame, and that flame juts up rather high. So just to check your water here, you can easily burn your hands, you can burn the hair off your arms and whatnot. Again, I can't help but think and wonder how much heat is being lost. Okay, so the water is warm enough for me. I like it lukewarm anyways. So now let's see if we can blow this out and what happens after we do. My coffee of choice for this episode is Death Wish Coffee. A viewer just recently sent this to me. Thank you so much, my friend. I really appreciate it. I didn't have a way to send you an email, so I don't know if you want your name mentioned or not. So I'll just say thank you so much. If you send anything into the channel, make sure to include your email address. So at least I could write and say thank you so much. Death Wish Coffee, the world's strongest instant coffee. Well. So everyone, cheers. It's good. Tastes like espresso in a way. Anyways, folks, let's focus on the stove here. It's cooled down very quickly. The gel has congealed down in the bottom. And it's very, very strange feeling. The consistency here is completely different than what it began as. Now it feels like silicone. It feels like a piece of rubber in the bottom. That's really strange. Next question, can this be relit? And how easily? Okay. So it does light back up very easily, and it looks like it's melting again. So this is reusable. I was wrong. I thought it would just melt, and it still could if it was warm enough. I really don't know, but a few points to mention here. The stove itself, you can see with the pot supports, these can actually be bent and altered. So if you need to lower your pot, you could do so by lowering the sides. In most cases, you will leave them up, as that should offer you the best distance from the heat source. Again, everyone, I can't help but wonder about this Dragonfire fuel, because it seems like the hottest part of the heat is higher than the pot support. So maybe in the future we will do some additional testing, but right now this is just the first run with this fuel and with this stove. All in all, I can't say that I'm super impressed with this. What do you all think? I'm sure my friends across the pond there, they have more experience with dragon fuel than I do, or FireDragon fuel than I do. So please share your thoughts. What do you all think about this stuff? It just went out, and there's a ton of residue left in the bottom. I mean, it looks like I was burning a piece of silicone. It stinks. I mean, it absolutely stinks. Yeah, I don't know. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and let's throw some hexamine in there. And let's just see how the overall performance is as far as like the flame distribution and so on. In the future, I will do an episode where we directly compare hexamine against the FireDragon tablets. This is a 14-gram tablet. This is 27. They do make 27-gram hexamine tablets, but they are pretty expensive as well. Before I throw in the hexamine, I wonder if I can get this out. Yeah, you can. Very strange. This takes a little bit longer to ignite. It's a little bit slower compared to this. Really what I want to see here is whether or not this is more controlled. With the FireDragon fuel, this was really chaotic. There was just flames shooting out everywhere. It's somewhat dangerous. I would not recommend using this thing inside of your tent or even close to your tent or even close to your gear because the flames just shoot out all over the place. Again, it's very uncontrolled and that can be dangerous. So let's go ahead and light up the hexamine and see what it's like. So there's the hexamine burning away now, fully engulfed. And that is much, much more controlled than the FireDragon fuel. So we'll just put the coffee right back on there. Let's warm this up. So the hexamine is burning away. And to me, this seems like it's doing a better job of directing the heat from the fuel straight to the pot. It's staying put, isolated right in the center. The heat's going straight up, straight to the pot. Very little of that flame is actually shooting out around the pot itself. So everyone, let's go over my observations so far with the mini cooker. Compared to the original FireDragon stove, I think this is a better product. Yes, it does weigh just a little bit more, but you have quite a bit more versatility with a stove like this. And plus, like the fuel, the flame is much more controlled. With this stove here, it's so small, it can barely contain the flame. Even of this hexamine here that's burning, like at times the flame shoots out, goes all over the place. And with the larger FireDragon, that's typically not the case. You can control that flame and the direction that it's going quite a bit easier. This is lightweight, it's compact, it's small, it does what it needs to do, but that doesn't mean it's the best option out there. So definitely interesting, there's no doubt about that. As far as wind resistance goes, I think it's okay. I think the FireDragon full size does a better job. Because of the small size here, it's not going to be the most stable stove ever. So if you were to put this on the ground and it's not flat, the issues with your pot will be more profound than say with this stove here. Because this is a larger surface, you can get away with more of a tilt than you can with something that's small. So larger stoves like this give a more forgiving platform than a small one. The price is good, there's no doubt about that. Unfortunately, the price for the fuel, in my opinion, wow. I mean, really, really expensive. Over $1 per burn. That's quite a bit of money. Folks, for this episode of the Outdoor Gear Review, that pretty much wraps it up. That is the FireDragon mini cooker. What do you all think about the stove? Is it worth the money? If you want to get this in the United States, you will have to get this imported. So you can buy these on eBay. I found some. They're very inexpensive, like $2, $3, but it's the shipping charges that get you. I mean, most of the time it's like $20-something. In my opinion, this stove is not worth 20 bucks. $4 or $5 at the most, yeah. I mean, you could easily build a little rock stove that works just as good as this, maybe even better. And that will only take you 2-3 minutes, right? Okay, going back to the military aspect for a second. I was reading last night that the United States military is considering using these in the future. No decisions have been made, so soldiers may see these in the future, and then again, they may not. I can't imagine this actually being accepted. I would be surprised. Based upon this one test, I see some serious issues here. So it will be interesting to see whether or not they go with this or something else. From what I understand, the United States and NATO are looking for a small little stove to go with their cold weather rations. This is just one option out there. I can't say that I'm super impressed. What about you all? Again, make sure to comment down below. I want to thank you all very much for watching this episode. I appreciate you all. Take care, be well, strength and honor. Again, to the viewer who sent this in, thank you so much. To the viewer who sent in the coffee, thank you so much. Bye for now, folks. Be well.